remember these shoes, which just absolutely suck. And I don't know why I kept buying them. And I eventually realized that, all right, I just wanted to real quickly share my thoughts on this Lakai situation that's happening. I'm sure by now you've seen this Instagram post they put up talking about the company, Rick and Mike, the skate team, the future, and their next steps. This may or may not be the last video I record sitting down in this room. You might notice things look a little bit different. I'm going to be moving my setup into my new place soon. And I don't need to read out this whole thing to you. I mean, they talked about they lost $1 million per year, Rick and Mike, and their ownership with the company. They talked about the contracts with the skate team, and they talked about what their plans are for the future and, you know, what they're going to do to save Lakai out of basically their own pocket. If you haven't read this by now, I can put the link down below. There's plenty of other videos people are reading this out, but my own thoughts on it, I wanted to go over it because I grew up on Lakai wearing their skate shoes all the time, and I had some thoughts to share on specifically their shoes and their, I guess, merch overall as a brand from my own personal experience. And I remember growing up buying Lakais from the store thinking it was a cool looking shoe. In fact, I think it was like their Griffin shoe. Yeah, this shoe right here that I would just buy over and over again. And then I started to like branch off and get like a different color or like a little bit of, I think I got their Manchester shoe right here at a certain point. And the reoccurring thing that kept happening to me with Lakai shoes specifically was the bottom of the shoe would blow out. I kept having to shoe glue it to like get it to stick, or then I kept getting other pairs and the toe of it will blow out from doing so many kick flips or varials or whatever trick I was doing at the time. And even like the material on top would blow out. And I remember these shoes, which just absolutely suck. And I don't know why I kept buying them. And I eventually realized that when I went off and got like a Vans shoe, or I think it was Vans or Adidas I would wear at the time, I realized the shoe would hold itself up longer and I wasn't finding myself spending $60, you know, 2 or 3 times in a month on shoes, rather just spending like $75 and getting shoes that would last me for like 2 months at a time. And that was the point where I was like, I don't need to buy Lakai anymore. And I quite frankly, I haven't worn Lakai since. And little did I know at the time, Lakai actually had clothing. Some of their clothing is just, I don't know. This stuff's crazy. Like let's look at their t-shirts right here. You have their Off the Hook shirt. Like what is this? And then you have, what is this, Pacifico? Isn't that like an alcohol brand? Or am I wrong on that? What is this collab right here? This is a bizarre collab. A Gretty Passion shirt. Like I don't even know what this is. They have some like very bizarre collabs. Also, I don't know what to think about some of these shirts. I've always said the simpler the better, but I find it very amazing that, you know, some of these shirts on here have even sold. I'm guessing not many of them have sold. I don't even really see Lakai merch out in public at like skate shops, or maybe Zoomies sells it now and I just haven't seen it. It's not very popular. It's not in the forefront. I'll put it to you like that. I mean, I'm looking at the previews right here. Some of these shirts right here are even kind of whack. Like this Lakai, okay, these Lakai limited hats. These are kind of cool. I could see how someone would wear these. Isn't this like a little 5-panel hat? Yeah, this is probably like the most normal hat they have, dare I say. I mean, I'm just talking purely out of my own taste, right? One other thing, I mentioned at the very top that they were losing $1 million per year. And I think it's an interesting dynamic because, you know, a lot of like skateboarding in general is a hard thing to like make profit off of that is able to like sustain itself for a lifetime. I think anywhere you go in the skate industry, unless they're like a massive influence of sorts that for, I don't know what the circumstance would be, but skateboarding brands as a whole, I think if it's just skating and not focused on like, we have skateboarding and basketball and baseball and all these other sports involved, it's going to be hard for like a privately owned company to sustain itself. And I think that has a lot to do with how they go about it. At the end here in this whole thing, they said they're going to hopefully sustain Lakai by building a skating skaters from all over the world, release full-length film and travel videos, create a hometown hero program for talent sky and community building. And while I think that's great, it all kind of sounds like the same thing. Like they're just going to try to like bring in more people and more eyes on the brand, which I guess could in turn turn over like sales or make it so there's more eyeballs on the brand. I do think brands after a while start to fall out of the main picture of things, especially when you go over what I just went over with like their merch, and you look at like the sustainability of like their shoes. I think unless they make like a really great shoe and kind of hold on to that same mold or fix their mold of their shoe or whatever it is, because that's what people mainly know them for, right? I think people know about like Mark Johnson and a couple of the other riders on the team. That isn't it, Mark Johnson, right? I'm so bad with like brands and names, but I think as long as they find a way to have a better product and actually find ways to like incentivize themselves off of this future, it could go on. But I mean, I went over to the comments here, and I real quickly, I even saw like one of my friends here say, my 72 mutual friends that follow Lakai, would you mind smashing that unfollow button? And at the end of the day, too, I think this was all trying to be saved because, or saved out of like someone's personal pocket, which is the reality for, I think, a lot of skate brands out there, too. I think there's going to be more brands that surface themselves. I think at the end of the day, I do wish everyone would just strongly support local. And I saw an argument in here where people were like, oh, people aren't supporting local anymore, and that has to do with it. And I do think people should support local more, but that comes with, again, having a better product. Will get more people to do that. So I don't know. I feel really, really torn about this whole entire thing, but I just wanted to share my thoughts. And I do hope skateboarding can go on an upward trend at some point, because it's definitely on a downward trend right now. And it makes it hard for me to even make videos because I feel like I'm talking to a wall when I talk about skateboarding online. And anytime I make this argument that it's on a downhill trend, and I see it in online numbers, you talk to like even bigger YouTubers, they'll tell you they feel this way. I mean, that is the reality of skateboarding in the current time right now. When you talk to other people online that aren't in the business, they're gonna be like, oh no, it's fine, it'll be okay. It's like a smaller niche thing, especially online right now, and it's a little sad to see. So yeah, it's a little bit depressing in my eyes. So I don't know, unless someone has a convincing argument otherwise, let me know down in the comments. But there's kind of my rough thoughts on it. I want skateboarding to do better. All right, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.